Welcome back to the Caribbean Creators Expo podcast. This is the show where we unpack tools, tactics, and those tough lessons that turn creative talents into thriving businesses. I am your host, David Tulloch, and today we will be zeroing in on a space that the entire world is watching: film, animation, and gaming. Turning your storyboard or your game demo into a sustainable income stream can feel like alchemy. But how do you get from concept art on a laptop in Kingston to the global platform? The Caribbean Creators Expo 2025 goes live July 26. Hop on over to the CaribbeanCreatorsExpo.com to register and join thousands of creatives like yourselves, investors, and tech leaders. We have with us, first up, Mr. Kevin Jackson, who is a writer, director, award-winning 2D animator, and president of the Jamaica Animation Nation Network, former president. His breakout micro-series, Abiku and the Maroons, racked up multiple festival awards and 9 international selections. He also lectures in animation at the University of the West Indies and champions industry growth across Caribbean states. Kevin, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, David.
Pleasure to have you. Now joining him is the great Glen Henry, founder and projects director of Spritewrench Studios, a one-man micro studio in Kingston, producing narrative-driven indie games like the noir visual novel Grim and Tonic. Glen is the loudest member of the Jamaica Game Developer Society and mentors devs internationally through the IGDA Foundation. Glen, great to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Kevin, I'm going to start with you, all right? When was that light bulb moment when you realized that animation was going to make you money?
Great question. So for me, it started in 2012, around that time, when I was just getting into animation. I was practicing a lot and just posting on my progress on Facebook. And a friend reached out to me and said that the Jamaica Environment Trust was looking for an animator to help them with raising awareness about Goat Island. At the time, we were having a lot of controversy about Goat Island. So we did an animation for that to raise awareness. And since then, not only did I keep getting animation jobs and making money from it, but Jamaica Environment Trust became one of my best clients. They hired me several times.
And then you realized that the bills were starting to be paid.
Yeah, man, I realized the bills were starting to be paid. And, I think in 2022 was when I started my company, Imagine Culture Media.
Not only did you become an animator, having your clients that you did animations for different cartoons, but you also teach.
Yes, I do.
Teaching animation.
Yeah.
Wow, now look at that.
Yeah, I taught at the Vocational Training Development Institute, taught there for many, many years. And then I teach at Carmack, UWI, in the animation department as well. So yeah, I do earn a salary from teaching it
And
as
you
well.
are can you repeat that again?
I do earn
You do earn
yes,
a salary
right, from teaching.
and your craft,
Yes,
which is animation.
yes.
All right, turning over to you, Glenn. When did you realize that passion could become a viable studio?
For me, it was kind of always the plan.
So you just started out from early. You knew that I'm going to be a game developer.
Almost pretty much.
This came from Nintendo, what?
I grew up playing Super Nintendo, playing Mario with my older brother, playing like PlayStation games with my friends. So I always had a very strong passion for gaming. I had a
So
passion.
you're like a Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter kind of guy?
Well, not
Or
Street
was it more
Fighter.
FIFA?
More Mortal Kombat, but not that much. Mostly
Finish him? Yeah.
I'm more
Finish
Street Fighter, but
More Street
You're
Fighter.
more Street Fighter?
All right,
Okay.
but I love both of them though.
I always had a passion for gaming, had a passion for art, and then I eventually went into like computer science. And it was actually in my, I think, a second to third year at UWI. In my comp sci degree, I stumbled across a documentary called Indie Game, the Movie. Now, some of the topics and lessons learned probably have not aged the greatest, but that was the first time I really got exposed to the concept of like an independent game developer, meaning you can just make the game. Before that, the idea was like, oh, I would have to migrate. I have to, apply to work at this company, and then
Japan or somewhere.
yeah, and I'll be nameless cog number 34 in the business, right? But
Like Squid Game, yeah.
exactly right. Like, you're just a number. But seeing that documentary kind of showed me that, hey, there are these people who are creative in their own right, and they're finding ways of just making the projects and putting them out there. And since then, that kind of inspired me to just start learning, teaching myself how to make games. So while I'm doing my degree, I'm in the back of the class learning how to use certain frameworks, making my own little platformers and stuff like that. I started learning more about the independent game development, like community.
So Grim and Tonic.
Grim and Tonic eventually came about when it came about in 2019 when I was trying to figure out how I could basically tell a comic in a video game. And I decided to make a visual novel because that felt like the most natural extension of that idea. And just for anyone who's listening, a visual novel is a style of game that is basically allows the player to kind of change the story based on their
interactive
choices.
media, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interactive thing. It was a fun project. I got to design a bunch of people set in this fictional city called New Eden. The player has to, through shenanigans, finds themselves working at a bar that is owned and run by the Grim Reaper.
Right. You know?
And I like the idea, I like the premise, and I tried to work within the constraints of the medium, and constraints of my own production timeline, because I had a day job. So I couldn't necessarily spend the entire time working on it. So things like it has to be black and white because I wanted to kind of maintain this kind of gritty feel, and that limited color palette kind of just bled into the creativity of the game.
I'm going to try and represent the person watching now who just started sketching a character on a napkin or on a cartridge paper or even on a wall or in the hand middle and not know how to monetize, get to that first step after that.
First of all, I'd advise them to just, learn the craft, research about what you can do with it. You can be a character designer. You can be a concept artist. You could be, quite a few things. Look development, environmental design,
And these
etc.
are salaried positions.
Yeah, these are all salaried positions. And it's very important to develop a web-based portfolio, right? And I would highly recommend be on places like LinkedIn. A lot of these art jobs are on LinkedIn. And when they look on your portfolio and they see that, okay, you understand form, you understand how to turn a character around and make them consistent, they look and say, all right, this person knows character design. And you can get hired. There are lots of jobs that pop up on it and you can apply for them. Put your work out there so people can see it. I know we're scared of people stealing our work, but if people don't see you, they can't hire you. So that would be my thing. Research
That's
the
the
job.
first step to monetization.
Yeah, man, that's
Start
the
to
first.
research,
Yes.
Finger. So Glenn, I'm gonna throw that to you. So for that guy in the back of the class coding or in a dorm or downstairs in his basement or up in an attic or in his bedroom, simply, what is his first step to monetization?
So to kind of just build off of what Kevin was saying, honing your craft, my suggestion to the person in their dorm is finish the game. Ship it. One of the core things as a creative, if you're trying to turn a hobby or a passion into something that can you can monetize, is to finish it. That's the first hurdle.
So create the product. The product is there.
Yeah. It's a big hurdle, but in the process of doing that, you learn a lot. And I don't just mean like have it in hand, but character market. Put it out there. Your first game probably is not going to make any money. It's probably going to be horrible. So probably your second game is probably going to do the same thing. The third game, same thing. But over time, you get better. You learn what you have an inclination towards. You might love platformers, but you realize that you make strategy games better, for example, right? And over time, you will find a way to kind of exist. If you have that will, you find a way to exist in the market. Like Kevin mentioned, there's different roles, right? You may start out with doing everything yourself, right? But you might realize that, hey, I'm really good at character design. Let me partner with a friend
who is good at the strategy.
And I'll do the character design. Or when you put the work out there in the character market and put it up on the platforms like Steam, which is the largest PC gaming platform, somebody might reach out to you on social media, on LinkedIn, and say, hey, really liked the work that you did on this. I have a project coming up. Let's collab. And that's kind of how you build this network, these connections, and then that carry you
Yep.
further.
It's all about the network and the connections.
All about the network
Yeah.
and the connection.
And I would say this to the audience, especially if you've had a job career, you know, like you've had maybe one or two jobs, ask yourself how many times you have gotten a job through resume versus networking. Yeah.
Yeah. That's real. All
I
right.
see that resonates with you.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. Suppose it's just something I want to do, but I don't know how to. Who do I go talk to? Whose door do I knock on?
For me personally, I would say, especially in the animation space, if you know nobody, start with the associations. So for animation, there's Jamaica Animation Nation Network. For film, there's Jamaica Film and Television Association and the Women in Film and Television Jamaica. And that way you get to network with people who are already in the industry. You get to tell them what you do, because that's the important thing with networking, you know. Don't just go and meet the person and find out what they do. Tell them what you do, right? Because you'd be surprised how many times Glen might go, oh, yeah, I'm a game developer. And somebody goes, you know, I wanted to make a game, or I know somebody, and then him get to work, right? So you have to find a way. And starting at these associations is the best place to start. And then you can branch off from there, find people online.
All right. Here's a statement. Traction is great, but scale pays the rent. So I'm going to ask you both, what strategies moved you from side hustle to a sustainable brand?
To use a borrowed term from business, really is like supply chain development, right? So when you're starting out, for gaming specifically, right? And I think that's the same for a lot of the creative spaces in the Caribbean. You are head cook and bottle washer. You're doing everything yourself at the start. But over time, as you continue making, as you continue honing your craft, you might find that you have inclinations or specialties or strengths that, you know, carry you further, right? And then you start figuring out, okay, maybe I need to collaborate with another person. Maybe I need to find somebody I can work with. They're going to just do all my sound design. I'm horrible at music, but they're great. Let me work with them, right? So now you're operating at a higher level than you were initially, right? So that's one way of kind of scaling up and bringing in people, bringing
So
in
you're
strengths.
improving the quality.
You're improving the
Okay.
quality as you go. And then as you're doing that, right, you're realizing that there are other opportunities this kind of unlocks. So no, you're no longer just a one person. You are now a small collective.
Yeah, conglomerate. Yeah,
Right?
coming together.
And you can start articulating what your strengths are to other people. Another thing to consider is like when you're looking at some of the funding opportunities, one of the things that they are evaluating is the risk in terms of
Right.
investing
Good.
with you.
Nice.
And when they're looking at your team, they're seeing something that's a little bit more reliable
Yes.
than one person. Even if it's in actuality, you know, it is one person doing most of the work. The fact that you have multiple people that you can rely on.
Specializations and the variety.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. The risk is spread out. And I mean, create systems. Look at the processes that you do, break them down into systems. Because I think one of the things that holds back creatives a lot is that they believe that only they can do it the right way, or only they can do it
Alright.
this way. Now, if you're starting a company and you know that your clients are depending on things to look the way you do it because David does it a certain way, you need to develop systems. And the thing is, clients want to know, you know, that if you go on vacation for 2 weeks, your company is still running, the
Yeah,
play is
doesn't
still
shut
running.
down.
Right. I should be able to take a vacation for 2 weeks, and if somebody contacts the company and says they want to do animation, it should be able to happen without me. People have to call me and say, hey, I have to come off vacation, you know, because
Right.
I don't know what to do. Clients don't want to hear that. They want to know that if you drop dead tomorrow,
Reliability.
your company, yeah, man.
It's reliable. So what I was gonna say, Kevin, you don't get away from it. When did it stop being a side hustle for you and a more a sustainable brand? Because Imagine has done quite a bit of work.
All right, and I'm going to be very honest. So, like I said, I started in about 2012 with animation, right? 2008 when you think about film. And I had been thinking of jumping the 9 to 5 shift into the, you know, fully freelance ship for a while, but didn't pull the trigger. But the trigger was pulled for me because what happened was in 2016, I lost my job. And I said, boy, what am I going to do now? And I said, boy, you know what? I really want to pour more into my creative side. And I spoke with my wife and she said, all right, take the year off and focus on that. And if you
Support,
can...
man, support.
Yeah, man, you have to have support in your corner. You have to have support. And she said, yo, if in 1 year, you find, say, you're still a struggle for pay the bills, go back into the 9 to 5. If you can pay the bills same way, then continue on your path. And 1 year later, I was still able to pay the bills because, I started teaching in 2016, right? Because right after I lost that job, and this is the great thing about
You mind
networking.
sharing with us what that job was?
I was an IT manager or support
All right,
for.
folks, this is a regular job. This is
Yeah,
a
man.
regular 9 to 5 job. Anywhere you go in corporate Jamaica, there is an IT manager.
Yeah, man,
okay?
exactly. And this was for a law firm.
And this was for a law firm. So what happened now? Kevin left the security of a standard job in the Caribbean here, Jamaica, and jumped off on a,
Right.
I want to say,
Well,
a
they
creative
push off,
cliff.
but, you know.
And you had to either fly or
Yeah,
die.
exactly.
And you
Exactly.
flew.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Because the thing about it is don't underestimate your network. Don't underestimate the fact that people are seeing what you do. That's just why I say you need to make sure you're visible. Because as soon as that happened, and I told people, say, hey, I'm no longer working, blah, 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 blah. Instantly somebody said, hey, can you come up to VT there and come teach
Nice.
animation and so on? And I said, well,
So there's some bit of faith that you need to
right. And that was the thing I'd said to my wife at the time. I said, if I take in a job, it has to be related to the creative industry. If it's not related to the creative industry,
want
I
it.
don't want it. Because I was determined I'm not going back into IT. IT is just not my thing. I want to be creative. So I said, once it is in creative industry, I'm on it. And so when I got that teaching job, I said, all right, it's in animation. Not a problem. I'll do that.
Any regrets?
And no regrets. I
regrets.
enjoy teaching,
You heard
and
that?
trust
No
me.
regrets. Kevin, you've known me for a while now, and you knew I did the same thing. I left corporate Jamaica and I went straight into my own ProMaster Entertainment, which is completely a creative-based company, and I've not looked back. What actually happened was, I won't call his name because I don't probably don't have the permission, but a very prominent actor, film actor in Jamaica, pulled up to me at a gas station in a gold Benz. You probably know who now. But then I said to him, wow, how you reach there? And there was a time I used to teach this actor in regular high school.
Oh, really?
So to see my student, and I was pushing a Swift at the time, right? And he said to me, you know what you're doing wrong, sir? You have not made your 9 to 5 your hobby, and make your hobby your 9 to 5.
Somebody too, a mentor told me that too.
And I said, wow, my hobby would have been theater at the time, acting in plays and stuff, but you have to go to work. But then when I
Right.
reversed it now and I'm saying, okay, so now my mantra now is I'm into the business of theater, not the theater of business.
Nice.
You understand? Because
Yes.
if you carry theater into business, it's
know,
a joke.
yeah, man, totally,
Right?
yeah.
But if you're into the business of theater, then you're looking to see how you profit and maximize.
Right.
Your path and my path are very, very similar.
Yes.
I started as an IT officer and basically eventually worked up to technical management. And what I found, my day job, was that my projects, like maximizing and organizing my game dev projects, made me a better manager. So that was always kind of the juggle.
Okay.
Right,
But
right.
eventually, I started taking on clients, taking on freelance clients. So that grew over time. And then my job in 2023 was made redundant. And then I had a point where
You
I was
too
like,
had
a
to
break.
fly.
I had a break and I was like, okay, let's just continue. Because I had work at that point in time. I had clients
Right.
still at that point in time. So just continued.
And you're surviving, you're alive. There's a lot of people worrying them because some of us grew up with a parent telling us, if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, you'll never make it. Right now, funny, the age that we're in now, there are so many other creative positions coming out now that people are actually making sustainable income from. And you two gentlemen are a very, very prime example of that happening. Thank you for pioneering. But for video gaming, Steam, that's the best platform you would.
Yeah, that is the most accessible platform to anybody. That is for PC, that's computers. It is the largest, like by far, it's the largest platform. If you're releasing a game and you want to do it seriously, chances are you're releasing on Steam.
Okay, and Kevin, for you, is it Netflix, YouTube, IO,
It's
pitch this?
it's all of the above. You kind of have to look at where you are in the stage of development of your project and where you want to go. Everybody wants to go Netflix, but Netflix is not the easiest or the best route to go. It's not the easiest because no longer is Netflix running down content. So now you have to go through agents and the quality of stuff have to be up here. But there's still opportunities on YouTube. There's still opportunities on Tubi, Quelly TV, many platforms. And I would definitely say if your content's not known yet, focus on marketing and developing an audience. YouTube is the best place for that because everybody's on YouTube. YouTube is the most streamed video platform in the world, right? Bigger than Netflix.
How do we collect digital payments,
Love this
licensing,
topic.
royalties,
Love this topic.
branding, but getting paid for my branding? You're using my brand. Talk
man.
to me, because that's
Great.
really what all our patrons are looking forward to hearing.
So with digital payment, the reason why I love this topic is because it's a big challenge in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, to get money from one country to the next. It is very difficult. We don't have any direct means of payment.
No PayPal, no Zelle, no-
PayPal does not work everywhere at all. If somebody pays me via PayPal, I can't send that directly to my bank account unless I have like a third party account to send that money to send it to my bank account, right? Like a Payoneer or something like that.
Payoneer.
And even with Payoneer, PayPal had blocked one of Payoneer's bank accounts and they have to get an alternative one.
Yeah, last I checked, they still have that blocked.
Yeah, they do.
But even with PayPal, if you're not going through the third party, you have to wait till you hit a certain threshold, and then
Right.
you request a check, and then the check takes like was it-
2 weeks, because a US check, and when it reach here,
It
it
take-
take our next 2 weeks for clear.
yeah, it's like the
Right?
entire.
So
process.
imagine it take 2 weeks to get here, then it take 2 weeks to clear. I want to say hopefully somebody can solve that problem. I've seen people come up and solve that problem because from time to time you see a Jamaican entity go, oh, send the money to us, we'll be the intermediary. And then eventually they have to close down because a regulatory body goes, no, that can't happen, right? And so it's still left out in the dark. But now to your next question, which is licensing. So it's very important to register your copyright because once you create something, it's copyright. You don't have to register it, right? Once you create it. But to enforce it, you want to register it. So register your copyright with Jamaica Intellectual Property Office or Writers Guild of America if it's in writing, or Library of Congress, etc. So that if anybody infringes on your copyright, you create an amazing, character, and then you see it on somebody's poster for a party, and you go, wait, hold on, right? You want to be able to call your lawyer and say, hey,
And collect.
cease and desist or collect, right?
Yes.
But you can license, in many ways. Maybe you've come up with a creative voice. Maybe you think of some, the Jamaican grandfather time who will go, I remember when I was a boy. And come up
Have
with
a
something
couple.
interesting and you put it on YouTube and it becomes a famous series. Then now a company might say, hey, we want to use your voice in one of our something, You can license that off, You're right. So there are many ways to license. I'm sure he can tell you about even with gaming. Maybe there are arcades you can license your games to.
We all used to play Street Fighter at Safrid. Everybody.
Everybody.
So like for gaming, there are multiple avenues, and there are avenues that I've exploited to a certain degree. Right. So there's direct sales, which is like selling straight through the platform. They buy the game for whatever the price is, and they download it and they play it. Steam does offer certain licensing setups. So like if you ran an internet cafe or something like that, you can download it multiple places. But there are other opportunities that are at first blush like not obvious. They
Right.
do like bundles where they approach 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever number of devs, and then they put all the games into one bundle, and they'll push that, and you get they split the revenue from
Right.
that. Right. There are opportunities where you can port. They'll pay to port
Oh,
your
okay.
game to that platform. Or
And for those who don't understand, porting basically just means allowing a game that might be programmed for one platform to work on another platform by, just making some modifications to the code and plugging into APIs, which I don't want to explain what APIs are.
things like that. Right? Or-
Yeah.
All right, but not to cut you guys, but okay, so there are some people who are listening now and are watching and are saying, okay, that's great, but I don't know how to do that, not how to do that. But there's actually a festival coming up that I'm planning to enter. You think it's worth it?
The thing about the festival circuit, because I've entered quite a lot of festivals and learned a lot. There are some festivals that are scams, and when I say scams, meaning that they just want to put on a festival and make some money off of entry fees. And yes, they show you stuff to an audience, so you do get something out of it, but you're not getting much out of it. And then you have some festivals that have something of worth. And I would say research the festivals before you submit, but also be realistic with your content. Like, be honest about where your content is at and what festival it will do well in versus not do well. A lot of people, they make a film and they just go, oh, I want to be in Tribeca on Sundance. It's like, your film is not at that level. You're wasting your money if you do that, right? Look for some lower tier festivals, but look for festivals where there's a high likelihood that an exec will be there, somebody who you can actually, who will see the film and you can talk to them about the film and maybe even strike up a deal. Like they might say, hey, I'm interested in this project. You know, what are your plans for expanding it? And you can have that real conversation. Like I tell people, the award is one thing, but greater than the award is hearing what your audience has to say so that you can go and make improvements or at the very least know that you are on the right track.
So personally, Kevin, that's what I prefer, theater over film, right? Because
And I can understand
when I
why.
film something and it's out there, I don't know. You watching it, I don't know what you're thinking. When I'm on stage,
Exactly.
I'm hearing you right there in front of me.
Yeah.
How you feel about this?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Are there festivals for video game?
Yes, in kind of a different mutation. They're mostly for marketing, really. There are award ceremonies like Dice Award ceremony out of Las Vegas, for example. But there are a number of festivals, and they're really for
And the great prize money?
they're for some of them, but they're mostly for putting your game out into showcases or stuff like that. So like Summer Game Fest was one that just happened a little while back, and that showed multitude of different games they're teasers. They're getting people excited about stuff like that. It is a way of getting that social proof, that audience feedback from the audience, and if you have enough of a groundswell of attention and such, that might lead to a publisher arrangement where the publisher may either assist you with marketing or some form of that, or may monetarily assist you with the development immediately. So they'll stuff
All
like
right.
that.
So the fact that you touched that, this is going to go to both of you. Whichever one wants to go first, that's fine. But government grants and funding.
It's a challenge, and I can say it's been a challenge for years, decades, right? Decades. I know for film, they've been asking for like 40 years for funding, right? Because the truth of the matter is, it is what make industries move. There's a Jamaica Screen Development Initiative, which launched last year, and that is a commitment from the government to provide 1 billion Jamaican dollars or 6.5 million US towards the development of film projects. There's also the Chase Fund. Chase Fund has been funding films for years. They don't have a lot of money because only 15% of their budget is dedicated towards the creative industries, but it's still money that you can bank on. I know Caribbean Creative Fund, they also provide funding for creative, projects.
I look to like international models, and I hope that somehow we can pull something together, like the Canadian Media Fund, which funds both film and like animation and gaming. And what they do is that they basically set up a model for you to submit a proposal and get like prototype funds and production funds, and there are tax incentives for hiring Canadians on those projects.
I want to jump on that point when he's finished.
Right, and stuff like that. And it would be wonderful if some part of that model can be replicated. But a lot of these grants are assuming that you're coming to the market with a full-fledged, proven idea that will generate a return. Right. So it's closer to like a bank arrangement than actually creative funds, because not every idea is going to give a return.
Yep.
But they teach you, right? So you're investing in the industry locally, and then as an individual, and this is what I think you have also leveraged this as well into teaching, is that you can then take those skills and carry them into more traditional, reliable, sustainable sectors. So teaching, project management, that type of thing.
The creative industry, specifically film, animation, and game development, haven't yet proved themselves as viable, sustainable income earners from the standpoint of we don't have TV series, we don't have like animated series,
But
Jamaican animated series.
We used to.
But the point I'm making is,
I understand.
he was saying, we need the room to fail, right? And that's one of the things that Hollywood recognizes. They will invest in 10 films knowing that 7 of them going to fail, 2 of them might break even, and 1 actually profits, right? But they know they have to go through that.
So this, viewers, is really just scratching the surface of what you can look forward to at CCE 2025. We're going to look at other things, other ways that you can develop your own craft and skill, deep diving into workshops like pitching to Netflix, doing game demos, a lot of things there to come. So Just before we close out, Kevin, Glenn, are there any last words you want to leave with those watching?
I used to just say be like Nike and just do it, and that still stands. But I want to go beyond that and say, if you want to be an animator, you want to be a filmmaker, start today. You know, go and draw, go and learn how to draw, go take up a camera, even if it's your phone, and film something. You'd be surprised how many films have been done with the phone and have become big sensational hits. If you have an idea and you want to film it, don't say, I'm going to film this one day. Just say, yo, call up your friends and say, what are you doing next weekend? Let's plan this thing out and shoot it now and learn from your mistakes. Like, nothing is a better teacher than making mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn fast. Simple as that.
Glenn?
I'm going to follow up on that, and my own is going to be, I'm trying to generalize this as much as possible. Fall in love with the craft. Allow yourself to fall in love with it. And what I mean when I say that is like, as a creative, you probably already are very much invested, plugged in. You know the nuances about whatever it is that you are, focused on. If it's acting, if it's video production, if it's game dev, if it's illustration, you know the details about it. But normally, because of fear, because of a bit of uncertainty about like what that path forward towards a sustainability looks like, you kind of hold yourself a little bit back. I'd say fall in love with it anyway, because that passion, that drive is going to allow you to get through so many hurdles, right? And as long as you're able to keep that spark alive, I'm sure you'll find a way to make that passion into something that's productive.
Love that point.
All right, so the key takeaways, guys, right? Just start small, think global, monetize smart. Want to remind you that on July the 26th, the Caribbean Creators Expo will be on. Come, learn, become innovative, push your craft, learn how to hone your craft, but most importantly, how to earn from your craft. I want to thank you two gentlemen for making this podcast what it was.
you very much.
Looking forward to your input as well at the expo, as I understand you both will be finalists there. That'll be great. We're looking forward to learning a lot more from you. And to you watching, I'll see you at the expo. Remember, register, get in. You want to reserve your space, because space, I understand, is already becoming a problem. And I'm David Tulloch. I will see you there also.